the banding completed, it was now time to start placing the trusses. But first I had to move around some equipment to get into place.
May not go any faster, I don't know. Go ahead. You may have to back up. Yeah, turn it back the other way and back up. Alright. It's going to be a little bumpy right there, okay?
I wonder if it's not charged all the way up.
Well, you can look at that. Stop and look for a second. Look down low. There's a little charge.
Yeah, it is.
It just has a little delay. You're pulling 12,000 pounds, okay? Kind of ease through there.
Once everything was positioned correctly, it timed just right and the trusses had arrived on delivery. So we spent a good bit of time getting the truck maneuvered into the farm so we could unload everything. As you can see here, they're broken in half, and then they came with all of the appropriate bolts and nuts and everything to attach them together, as well as the lag screws to attach them to the posts. So we laid everything out on these sawhorses here, and this is where we assembled each truss before we placed it up on top of the bands on the pole barn. It's probably not designed for this, but we found the best way to put the truss up was to attach it to the crane bucket that we had with 2 chains and just lift it into place and set it on top of the bands. So that's exactly what we did. The first truss was always the hardest to set because it has to be perfectly level and correct in order to measure the additional trusses that you place. So here is a video of us putting up the second truss, because we were able to demonstrate it a lot easier than we were the first, because the first took us almost 30 to 45 minutes to get correct and right and brace and everything. Maneuvering with the crane with the truss in the air proved a bit tricky, but as you can see here, we placed both trusses up and got them leveled and correct, and at this point it made it a lot easier to place the additional trusses in front and hook them together with the 2x6s. We realized that making the trusses on the outside and then carrying them in served as a bit of a problem logistically, so we moved all of the truss pieces inside of the pole barn and set up sawhorses so that we could assemble them in the barn and then just lift them up, and we moved the sawhorses back as we needed to make it more logistically sound and also a lot quicker work.
Probably just move these two over.
At this point, we had formed a bit of an assembly line. Me and a couple others were on the ground assembling the trusses. Then once we would get them assembled, someone would pull the crane over to where we were. Then we would hoist them up with the chains and position it as we needed to. Then we would go on either side with the tractor and the platform that we had rigged so that you could attach the sides, and then at that point you put the 2x6s on the top, and that held it stability wise for the top, and then the bottom was secured as well.
Yeah, go ahead and bring your boom down. Keep going, don't stop. Keep going, I'll tell you when to stop. Well, right there, right there. That's good. Now, that's a little scary, ain't it? Yeah. See, you're okay now. Don't do any more boom moving. You know what I mean? Just drive back. Hey, hold on for you. Yeah, there you go. Pull it back before you tighten the other one. That looks pretty good right there. I'd go with it.
Beautiful.
We positioned ourselves to where one person could hand the 2x6 off to another person on the crane to be able to place it in the slots on the trusses and attach it, so we could get our distances just right in between each truss. And we did that all the way down, placing those 2x6s on one at a time. We set each truss one by one and put approximately 4 to 6 rows of 2x6s just to hold them in place, and one by one we placed them all until we were finally finished placing every truss. At this point we just needed to finish placing all the 2x6s.